Hey human, I'm Abby Teal, and this is The Real Deal with Abby Teal. I just want to ask you a question. When you look at me, what do you see? What does what you see tell you about me? So I'm blonde, I'm female, am I a soccer mom? Am I someone that you would approach on the street? Am I smart? Am I Southern? Am I Northern? How do I vote? What do I think? What does my heart say? I'm here to tell you something. After 20 years of working with young people and people of all kinds, I found out one thing. All of us on the inside are just human beings. I've worked with ex-felons, people who are current or formerly homeless. I've worked with trauma survivors. I've worked with high achievers, and sometimes those are the people under the most pressure. I've worked with folks of affluence and influence and access, and people who didn't have anything at all. You know what I've learned from working with everyone is that we're all just human beings. I am. Maybe I'm not just what I appear to be on the outside. I can tell you that coming from a southern town and has been an influence in my life, but so has living all over the world. I grew up in a family of affluence and access, but let me just tell you, that doesn't insulate you or me or anyone from trauma, hardship, stress, shame. We all are living in this world trying to figure out how to be humans with one another. You know, I grew up with affluence and wealth, but I've also had the opportunity to live out of my car and to be rescued when I was homeless on the side of the road. What I've learned in 20 years of working with mostly young people, teenagers and rescue animals, is that surviving is not living. We can live in the world where we experience the don't die, don't die, don't die. But that's not really being human, living in community. What I've found is that as human beings, we have the opportunity to build life together. What does that mean? People say, Abby, build life? Do you mean like build stuff or build spaces for life to happen? Well, let me just give you a picture of what build life looks like from my perspective. Where I grew up, we had this story about these two trees. And one of the trees had all the rules in it. And if you ate from the fruit of this one tree, you would know all of the right and wrongs. You would know who is us and who is them, who qualifies and who doesn't qualify. What makes fat, fat? What makes skinny, skinny? Where are the lines? That was that tree. And there was this other tree that just had life in it. Now I have to tell you something. My whole life, it's been easier to live in the tree of right and wrong than it has been to be in the tree of life. Here's why. Knowing how to qualify gives me something to shoot for. It gives me boundaries and markers that tells me if I'm good enough. But it also tells me if you're good enough, if you're safe, if you're valuable, if you're meaningful. Let me tell you what, that is the epitome of not living. What's in that tree of life, you might be wondering. My whole life I thought I knew. But it took nearly dying just 12 years ago when I found out that I was about to die. That's when I found out that life is definitely something other than getting it right and getting it wrong, who matters and who doesn't. Life is what happens in this other space, and in that space, there is a freedom to be exactly who you are, to be naked and unashamed. Well, in order for that to happen, that means that I have to accept me for all the pieces that I am, whether it's being blonde or old and wrinkly or having my southern accent that makes people disregard everything that I say. It makes people wonder, if I've got a brain cell in my head at all to combine my accent with my looks and my hair color. It doesn't matter that I have a degree and speak 6 languages and can spit bars in classical studies with the best of them and Socratic dialogue. None of that matters. What matters is that the deep down part of who I am is a human who wakes up behind these eyeballs, hoping to God that I will be somehow known, loved, accepted for who I am. Maybe someone will approve of me, possibly even applaud for me. I just want to be allowed to be who I am in my community. Here's what I'm learning. As soon as I can accept me for being exactly who I am, I can begin to make space for you and other people in my community to be exactly who they are, whether I agree with them, whether I like the way that they look, whether I think that they are similar to me or different from me or not. When I can allow myself to make room, make space for other people to be who they are in my community, and not just be who they are, but also work together with me and make our neighborhood, our community, our school, our home, our life a little bit better, a little bit more alive, a little bit more real and authentic and fresh. That is building life. That's what I mean when I say let's build life together. What I've found in building life is that it's not something I can do by myself. I work with a group of teenagers and rescue animals through an organization called Ark Farms. And I'm working with these people and animals, and teenagers, the most authentic people on the earth. I'm telling you, if you ever want to know if the shirt that you're thinking about buying looks good, ask a 13-year-old and go, can I wear this? Okay, no, that's a no. Like, they'll for sure tell you. Teenagers and rescue animals have taught me this, that when we are working together, and we work a lot on restoration projects, we do empowerment through restoration, which basically means we look in our community and say, what needs to be restored, whether it's an animal or a fence line, or if it's rescuing bees so that they don't get exterminated and letting them raise honey and being a part of that process, or if it's about digging a trench to keep water from flooding a parking lot. Whatever it is, we just find these things that are birthed out of what the teenagers are able to see. This is something I want to restore. And then we get together, we learn the skills, we figure out how we can cooperate. And this is what's really cool. In those moments where we're building these restoration projects, what I've learned from these teenagers is, if you're carrying something heavy, you really don't care if the person behind you is tall, short, fat, skinny, black, white, male, female, or in between. You don't care if they identify with the left side or the right side of the aisle, or who their mom and daddy is. You're just grateful they picked up the other end of that heavy stick you're carrying. When you're doing the work, when you're sweating it out, when you're helping to restore life in your community, it takes everybody. And it doesn't matter who they seem to be, who their personality seems to come off as. Maybe it rubs you the wrong way at first. But when we're working together, what we find out is, maybe I need that edginess that you have. Maybe I need someone who's a little bit more protective and has more scrutiny. Or maybe I just need your good idea, but you don't communicate it in the way that I would communicate it. Maybe I need this girl over here. She communicates really well. I'm just learning that when we get together with people who aren't like us, they fill in our blanks. I don't know if you're like me. I love doing puzzles, and I've done lots of puzzles, jigsaw puzzles in my life. And one of the things that I found is that when you do jigsaw puzzles, the piece that you're looking for is going to be exactly opposite the piece that you have. And that's what it is in community. What we've done, because we've lived so many years out of that one tree, that one was right and wrong, and who's good and who's bad, and what matters and what doesn't. That tree has taught us to have these lines of us and them. They say we've lived in this community that says, if I don't look like you, or if I don't think that you're going to agree with me, I don't want to get close to you because I don't want you to rub off on me. Well, the truth is that the more that we are around someone who's not like us, the more of ourselves we really become. It's not because they're changing us, but because by them being who they are, we're able to really experience the fullness of, hey, this is what I really think. I can't tell you how many times I've been working with someone who surprises me, and I'll look at them. And I had a young girl that I was working with one time, and she came out to pet the pretty ponies, and she was working with the animals, and I thought, yeah, she's really compassionate and kind. And about 2 weeks later, everyone's calling her over to help with the welding and cutting PVC pipe, and I went, whoa, I'm really surprised by who you are. I thought that you were a girly girl. And she goes, yeah, if you meant badass, you right. I just went, Okay, blow my mind then. Like, be who you are. But by working with people who had skills that she didn't already know about in her, she discovered that she had more in her than just this compassionate side. And so did everyone else around her. That encourages me. And I want to encourage you, because what I see from that is, for me, I'm not finished figuring out what is Abby Teal or who is Abby Teal. Listen, as long as there's God and Miss Claire Alt, I'm going to be blonde. But the reality is, on the inside of me and under this blonde hair, there's a lot going on. I got a 9-inch scar down the back of my head. I got 35 plus titanium screws in the back of my head, and I've got nuts and bolts holding me together, and I do not wake up with makeup on my face. I just want to say that we're humans. You're human, and I am. And in this Hey Human experience, through the blog and through the podcast, what I want to be talking about is conversations with other humans in our communities who may have something to share that may surprise you, or they might just be talking about the experience of learning how to be in community and build life together. This is more than just an expose of the human behind our eyeballs. It's about a study of how we can figure out how to be in community with one another, actively live this community lifestyle where we're all a part of the ecosystem. We're all a part of this thing we're doing that builds life. I'd like to explore with you what it looks like to maybe live out of this tree that is life-giving, that is naked and unashamed. I'm not saying take your clothes off. I'm saying be naked. Stop trying to cover up who you're not. Sometimes you'll see me on these videos and I won't be wearing any makeup at all, because that's for sure my real authentic world. And I'm usually outside on the farm or in the garden and playing with poop. I have a real thing about poop. We'll discuss it later. It has a lot to do with manure and nitrogen and what it does for the soil and the life cycle. But I want to share with you what I'm learning. I learn a lot through nature. I learn a lot from the rescue animals, but I learn mostly from teenagers and just rubbing up against other humans who are not like me, who look different from me and have different stories. Along the way, I'll share a little bit more about my story, about what it's like to have someone tell you that you've got 3 weeks to live and that if you survive surgery, you'll probably never walk or talk again. But I am still here, and that was a long time ago. And so I kind of feel like Minnie Pearl. I'm just happy to be here. Since I am here, I'd like to take up whatever piece of history I've got right now, sharing life with you. And maybe we can join it. You can join in the conversation. I'd love to have your thoughts at abbyteal.com. And we're going to be blogging. We're going to be talking about how to be humans with one another in community, and what are the challenges and what are some of the hiccups, and also how do we push past the awkward spaces of not knowing how to get along and how to engage with people who are different from us. Because different than us doesn't have to be a separation from us. I'm excited about joining you in this conversation, and that's an important piece. Maybe that's the most important piece, because building life together is not something that I can do by myself. In order for this to work, we've got to join in together. I regularly say that building life is an us together thing, and it really is, because the only us that matters is all of us. And I just want to welcome you to the Hey Human series, and just kind of give you an introduction of who is Abby Teal. I don't think we fully peeled back all the layers of that onion, but we'll get there. And in the meantime, I'd love your comments. I would love for you to share, and I would love for you to share your story with me. And we're going to be listening to other people through a variety of communities from a variety of backgrounds. Just remember that building life together is an us together thing. See you at abbyteal.com. Thank you for your time.